This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Welcome to Dream Power Radio on the Amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. This is the show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to live a life you love. And as you know, as a reminder, I'm here to help you understand your dreams. So if you have a dream that's got you stumped, send it to me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com. I'll interpret your dreams and answer any questions you might have about the importance of dreams. So email me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com. Well, dreams are important to me because they give us such amazing insights into ourselves. But what happens after you get those insights? How do you make the leap and take action on what you might have discovered about yourself? Maybe some deep trauma that needs to be addressed, or hurt that needs to be healed. Our guest today, Rebecca Haywood, is a master at a technique called shamanic cleansing. Now, I know that the word shaman might conjure up strange woo-woo images for you, but believe me, Rebecca is the essence of modern practical love and healing. Let me tell you a little bit about her. At the age of 20, Rebecca received an undeniable calling to step away from her psychological studies and find a spiritual teacher. This led her to a 10-year apprenticeship with a family of Toltec shamans and a profound awakening. Rebecca went to live and work with the great Toltec healer, Madre Sarita, and her son, the best-selling author of The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. Rebecca was named as Sarita's spiritual granddaughter and the one to carry out her lineage. She mastered the ancient healing traditions along with Don Miguel's esoteric teachings, gathering intimate insight into the mind-body-spirit connection. Certified as an herbalist, a massage therapist, and a holistic health practitioner, she opened her private practice in 2001 and has been working as a healer and spiritual mentor ever since. She leads retreats and workshops worldwide and recently contributed to the best-selling books Dancing in the Unknown and the newly released Shamanism in the New Millennium. With her blend of ancient and modern wisdom and her loving down-to-earth candor, Rebecca embodies the essence of a shaman sister, with the eyes of a shaman and the heart of a sister. So, shaman sister, welcome to Dream Power Radio, Rebecca.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, I'm honored to have you here. Let's just start with the basics. Could you tell our audience what a shamanic healer is?
Well, I suppose that would depend on the shaman, but in my world, a shaman is one who brings the etheric into the skin you're in, right? We have the eyes to see the medicine that you need, whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. And most often it's a little bit on all levels, right? So in my world, I have the eyes to see that, and yet I also have that ability to bring it into your body, to ground it into your experience. And I also feel as a shaman, it's really important to bridge that understanding and that connection between the human experience and the divine.
Just dive a little further and explain how you use this in a practice, with one of your clients?
Yeah, so my practice involves a blend of spiritual mentoring, which most people are familiar with mentoring more in terms of life coaching. Yet my mentoring is different than life coaching in the sense that it's very intuitive and organic. And so it's not so much a step one, step two, step three. It really is an experience of channeling a message for that person that speaks directly to their process in the here and the now and to their specific journey. So I blend the mentoring with shamanic cleansing work, which can involve an egg cleansing, something we call an egg cleansing, or a fire cleansing, or even a psychic healing. And these are rituals and techniques that help to cleanse the body of heavy energies, of energies that aren't serving their body and their mind and their spirit any longer. But they not only cleanse them, they also bring awareness to them. Because to me, I seek to empower my clients and my students as their own healer. And so if they have awareness about what brought them here or what led them out of alignment, then now they have the tools to maintain and sustain their own healing, and even to deepen their healing along the rest of their journey.
Now, you mentioned some interesting techniques there. What is an egg cleansing?
Yes, right? Sounds right? And I remember the first time I got one from my teacher, Madre Sarita, I was like, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? But it really is such a beautiful technique. And basically, we use a raw egg still in the shell. And an egg is a living being, right? It's alive. And it's actually polarized. It has a negative and a positive charge. And so it's actually magnetic, right? And so that natural force of the egg, actually, as you rub it on the body, still in the shell, it draws out the energy from the body and from the emotions and the spirit. It takes an energetic imprint, if you will, and as well cleanses. But with that imprint, what we can then do is we crack the egg into a glass of water, and we can read it like an X-ray. And in that X-ray, we see all the different levels of that person's being. And of course, with our added intent and our faith, then we can also see a little bit more than just the imprint of the whole. We can invite a specific question or understanding that we're seeking. So it's a really beautiful technique that, to me, it does both the cleansing, but it also brings that awareness as we do the reading at the end. Very, very beautiful. Not everybody does the reading of the egg, but Sarita always did. And for me, it's one of my favorite parts, and actually where many of my clients experience the most healing in that process, because of that aspect of engaging their awareness into the healing.
Let's talk a minute about Madre Sarita, because she had such a powerful influence on your life. Could you tell our audience a little bit about her and what made her so special?
Oh, wow. Sarita was one, I would still say is, because she's still very much here, even though she's not in body any longer. Sarita is one of the most powerful female healers and shamans of our time. She had quite the journey herself, and actually didn't really honor her roots. She grew up in a family of Nahuals, which is a Toltec word essentially meaning shaman. And she grew up in that family, and yet, was married off at age 13 and started to live her life. I had 13 children and owned and operated a restaurant, and had all of these life experiences. And it wasn't until age 42 that she was called back to her path. Up until then, she had actually discredited her own roots as kind of superstition, right? But a health scare led her to seek alternative healing. And in that process, she discovered a woman named Petra in Mexico who did faith healing. And that was really when Sarita kind of remembered and woke up to her own abilities, as she was seeing all the spirit guides in the room that were working with Petra on her body. And her body was completely healed. And Sarita recommitted herself to her path as a healer. And so she really blended both the faith healing and her Toltec Nahual roots. So she really had this beautiful blend of earthy, ancestral, with this more Mexican Catholicism and of faith healing. And that's what I really am so, so grateful, beyond that feminine embodiment of power that she reflected to me, was that blend of two traditions that some might hold as very separate, right? But she would pray in the name of Jesus and in the name of Pata de Aguila, eagle's foot, right? So to me, it was a beautiful reflection, and really opened me as a healer to embrace all languages of faith and all ways of healing.
Mm.
Yeah. And it turned out, I had been dreaming with her. As I was called on my journey, I started to dream with her. I didn't know who she was. And I was directed to find her. I didn't know where she was.
And you found her in a dream?
Yes, I first started dreaming with her, and it was a really powerful dream, and it kept recurring every night, where I was looking in a mirror and I would see the face of an old woman, the leathery skin and like Mexican Indian, and these amazing bright eyes. And in the mirror, our eyes would start to merge, and my eyes would become her eyes in this brilliant explosion of light. And then I would wake up, each time, and wondering, is this my teacher? Who is this woman? But of course, we discredit ourselves, we discredit our dreams. We think, well, it's just a dream. But it kept coming for me, kept coming for me. And eventually, the waking dream is really what pulled me to her. Just following my heart, which has never led me astray. And it miraculously led me right to her doorstep. In a matter of about 3 months, I found myself right where that dream was telling me to be.
Mm-hmm. And you studied with her, and you were, I think, at one point even destined to carry on her traditions. So, what was it that made you eventually walk away from her?
Well, I would say I never really walked away from her, but certainly there was a time, as you know, in the book that we co-authored, "Dancing in the Unknown," in which life guided me to step away from assisting her on a daily basis and really step out into working with my clients solo. And that was a really scary time. It didn't make sense to me at all, and I was terrified because I felt such loyalty to her and to the lineage, because not only had she tapped me as the one to carry on her lineage, but it had been revealed again through a dream that I was actually I say spiritual granddaughter, but I was her granddaughter from another lifetime. And so I felt such loyalty to really carrying on her tradition and in her way. But life called me, the waking dream, my heart said, you need to step away. It was actually through a meditation that I saw it, and it made zero sense, but I knew I had to follow it. And the beauty of it was that I really discovered my way of healing, and it actually empowered me to really actually honor the lineage, right? Because Sarita didn't want a clone of herself. That was my misunderstanding. She just wanted another woman like her that carries the essence, right? And as she so well understood, there are so many languages of faith and languages and forms of faith. And to her, the form was far less important than the faith that is delivered through the form. So that was a really powerful but scary transition for me. And I took a break from working with her, assisting her for I'm not sure how long it lasted, but pretty soon I came back, and she was so happy with my work and invited me to begin teaching with her. So, if we listen, it really does land us right where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. It's so important to follow our heart and take that inner wisdom and just take action on it. We're going to take a little break here. We're talking with author and shamanic healer Rebecca Haywood on Dream Power Radio. We'll be right back. What could be more dreamy than a cruise to the mysterious and exotic Cuba? Join me in June for a luxurious 8-night trip on Royal Caribbean's Empress of the Seas. We'll taste the cuisine in Havana, dance to the music in the enchanting cities of Cienfuegos and Santiago de Cuba, and much more. For more information and to sign up for this unforgettable trip, email me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking with Rebecca Haywood, one of the contributing authors in the new book, Shamanism in the New Millennium. So in this book, you write about exorcising the ghosts of sexual trauma and their secret shame. So Rebecca, what do you mean by ghosts and their secret shame?
Yeah, so by ghost, really, it's a metaphor. And, memory can inhabit us like a ghost, right? It is that presence that carries an emotional presence, it carries a mental presence, it can even carry a spiritual presence. And so that's really what I mean by ghost is that presence of something that really can stick to us, right? And especially when a memory comes with emotional stress or trauma or with a spiritual disconnect, that memory can really, truly, quite physically and literally sink into our bones and attach itself to us. Even, I don't know if you're familiar with the study of epigenetics, but that study actually shows that emotional stress, i.e. trauma, can actually alter our genetic code, our genetic information, and thus can then be passed on from generation to generation. However, the good news is that we can also alter it back by simply changing the emotional input, which is really what the shamanic cleansings and the mentoring work that I do seeks to instill, is that shift in the emotional input. So by ghosts, I'm really talking about memory and as almost an entity that possesses our being and can even begin to impact us, causing addiction, fatigue, illness, and like I said, a spiritual disconnect where we're not quite inhabiting ourselves fully any longer. And I believe you also asked about the secret shame. And this is, really, really a large topic, this secret shame, because the ghosts that I'm referring to, of course, are the ghosts of sexual trauma. And the secret shame that I discovered, because as you'll see in my chapter, I'm really sharing my personal journey of healing repeated sexual trauma and using shamanism, how Sarita helped me to do that. And in my journey of healing my personal trauma, I came to this point of feeling completely exasperated because I had done everything. I had done all the cleansings with Sarita. I had also studied in Miguel's esoteric school of dreaming for 7 years, which dreaming in his world is really that shifting of the assemblage point, where one no longer identifies themselves as the body, the emotions, or the story we tell ourselves. And so, as you can imagine, I was quite free and enlightened, and yet I could still feel the weight of a trauma in me. I could still feel a sorrow, a block, and sadly, trauma kept coming for me. The predators were still finding me. And so it was very frustrating and confusing to me to try to understand where this was coming from. And so what I discovered was that secret shame was really the thing that was still there, and it was living in my very cells. Just as I was talking about that epigenetics, that secret shame actually came from my mother, her mother, and all the mothers that came before her. And even beyond my feminine lineage, there was that shame, that trauma that had been passed through even the masculine lineage, right? Because if we truly believe in past lives, then we must admit that we weren't just female this whole time. We've also played the masculine role. And so the secret shame that I discovered was really that feminine shame that has been within our society, within humanity, for centuries, and it's that violence against women, it's the burning at the stake, but it's also the one lighting the match, right? So that secret shame was that trauma that wasn't even my own, that this body itself hadn't even directly experienced, but was still carrying and operating from. And, was also a vibration, a frequency in my body that continued to invite more trauma.
So are you saying that we all hold this secret shame?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Unless you've done a lot of deep work, a lot of deep work. Yeah. And it's a doozy, it's a doozy to work on the cellular level, really, because no matter how much you unplug your mind from a memory, your body has its own. So it was really not just a rewriting of Rebecca's personal history in the mind, or even her personal history of this body. It was really giving the whole body a complete reset. Yeah.
So how long did it take you to actually go through this process, or do you think you still hold this secret shame in you?
I never say never. You know what I mean? I never say I'm done, because I just feel that that's honest. And to me, I will forever be healing and learning and evolving and unlearning, right? And growing. So absolutely, even just in the writing of this chapter, I mean, it invoked a whole nother level and layer of healing. I'm sure, as you know, as an author, when we hold witness to a story, especially a personal one, we garner so much insight, right? And as a healer, when we agree to work with a particular energy or medicine, then everything we need to see and embody of that medicine comes for us. And so, boy, as I was writing this chapter, I mean, this was absolutely the hardest thing I have written yet, and really the most powerful. Yeah.
Well, yes.
So,
I mean, opening yourself up like that, to an audience is always very, very difficult, and in its own way, probably even a little bit freeing for you also.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I had broken my silence a long, long time ago. Yet it's very different putting it on the pages, almost etched in stone, right? Right. So definitely a big process for me, and yet I really wanted to share the personal story. I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to give people the experience and really the empowerment of witnessing me, a woman of power today. I am a woman of power. And yet I had these same vulnerabilities, these same traumas, these same fears, and they did inhabit me. They did possess me, right? So to me, I wanted to give that to the readers, to women, to men, that they could really feel that hope and that faith that yes, it can be healed. It really can be healed.
Well, what would be like the first step somebody could take if they're feeling this inside them, and even if they can't even actually identify it, but just have this feeling that there's something that needs to be healed?
Yes, the first step for me as I work with people is always to embrace it. Okay. So often, especially with emotions that we deem as weak or unspiritual, unenlightened, we tend to want to bypass them or override them, right? Especially those feelings of victim stance. We're seeking to claim our power again and to feel empowered again. And so often people come to me and they are this survivor standing atop a victim who hasn't yet healed because they never actually embraced her, you know? So embrace is so important, to just embrace and sit with right where you are, even if you don't know exactly where it's coming from, you don't know its name, if that's okay. Just embrace where it is in your body and put love in front of it, as I say, which is maybe a little bit different than most people might be going to in their mind. It's not put love in front of it so that we're fixing it, so that we're changing it. It's simply that we are loving it, just much like we would a baby that's crying, right? We can just love that child. And in that act, that emotional stress, right? We're starting to change the emotional input of it, and the emotional stress will organically begin to unwind from the body. Okay. But that also requires the next step, which is to embody it. Okay. So embracing the emotion, which means lifting all judgment of it, lifting all need to even remove it from your body, just accept that it's here. And then to embody it, which is to really just allow it to be in your body. And as we do that, that's where that unwinding process starts to come, because we're no longer trying to control the experience in the body. We're just allowing it, right? Much like doing yoga, where, you know, we would, if we find tension or resistance, right, we breathe through it and we deepen the pose rather than trying to step out of it and step out of our body. No, we bring our presence deeper into the body, right?
Oh, that is
So those are really the
saying that is such great wisdom and just wonderful advice to share. We're coming up toward the end of the program, so I want you to have a chance to let people know how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, so my website is RebeccaHaywood.com, and you can find me on any social media at Shaman Sister. And I would love, if you're interested in what we've been talking about today, check out, I've got a new program that is soon to begin called Shameless Feminine. And it's going to be a retreat and mentoring program and series. And we have the first retreat coming up in February. And each one is going to be shameless feminine, but with a different, focusing on a different superpower of the shameless feminine. And so this first one, we're going right for the gut, right for the gold. And it's going to be called Getting Naked in the Sacred Sensual. So I really hope you all out and join us. Yeah.
Okay, and people can find out about that through your website?
Yeah, through my website and on social media, I'll be making announcements there. Absolutely. And yeah, it's going to be in February in LA. We don't have all the details lined up just yet, but those should be set in place hopefully by the end of next week. So it's really exciting.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you, Rebecca, for being on Dream Power Radio today.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you again. We've been speaking with shaman, healer, and author Rebecca Haywood. This has been Dream Power Radio. I'm Debbie Spector-Weissman, and I hope you tune in next time. Until then, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.